Yo, what's up, everybody? It's the 12th Man Podcast. I'm Blaine, you know Brooks, and today we have a very special friend with us, Chad Mariotti, big time Roma.
Thank you.
Yes, AS Roma support. You can see us now. We're wearing our Roma gear in solidarity with our brother, Mariotti. And without any further ado, today we're going to get straight into the salacious, the gossip, the investigations, the Bureau of Investigation. How do you say FBI? Is there an FBI in Italy, or does anyone know?
I think it's a specific financial crimes unit within the Italy. I don't know what they're officially called, but they focus on the financial crimes.
Those guys are doing raids, and Juventus is at the core of one of their raids for, I guess, what we're calling transfer fraud or something. Chad, can you help us out? I'm not too clear on what the details are, but what in tarnation is going on in Turin?
Well, listen, I'm glad you had me on because I'm a completely unbiased, neutral source that can tell you straight exactly what the facts are. And I take no pleasure in reporting bad news about Juventus at all. But basically, what happened was there's a few suspect transfers that were going on with Juventus in the past few seasons that have kind of raised the eyebrows of these folks and essentially raided their offices on Sunday or Saturday, I guess it was. Pulled up a bunch of paperwork, confiscated a bunch of stuff, took them back to the lab to do some further digging in. But I don't know. It looks kind of interesting. There's a few transfers that definitely look suspect. I know kind of the big example that's going around out there is Pjanic going to Barcelona for 66 million euro or something like that, which, I mean, talk about financial suspect. Barcelona's in their own club when it comes to something like that. But it's an interesting story. I don't know if there's going to be a lot that comes out of it, to be honest with you. I think Juventus is, the top of the importance when it comes to Serie A and makes a lot of money for the country and for the league themselves. And so, anything more than a slap on the wrist will surprise me, but it's an interesting story for sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're alone. I remember, when that Miriam Pjanic, Arthur Melo swap happened, whenever it happened, maybe last season or 2 seasons ago, I feel like a lot of people thought that was really weird, that it was okay, you're giving us a guy that's significantly younger, that almost plays the exact same role as a guy that's significantly older, and he's 66 and we want 65 for him, but we're going to give you watch what I'm doing over here, and then something else is happening over there. And it was all very confusing. So it also doesn't surprise me to see, and I wouldn't be surprised if Barcelona got another blow to their credibility, and something else came out of the maybe nothing will happen to Juventus, but maybe Barcelona is going to end up getting thrown under the bus because they're going to be oh, just follow the money, and they're going to be oh yeah, this was a total farce. But okay, well, what else? Anything was there? I feel like there was a little bit more to it, right? Maybe there was a few other transfers that maybe they were potentially inflating the valuation, which I think, Brooks, we talked about. You can't say, for example, if you were, let's say, playing for Roma, if I was chairman of Arsenal, I was yo, I want Brooks, and I don't care how much he costs. If I want to pay it, there's no problem with that. But the problem might be if you say he's one price, but you only accept payment of significantly less, and maybe, I don't know, what was the speculation?
Yeah. A weird balancing of the books type of thing, because I think we talked about this before we started. I could, any owner of any club could set a value or set a price to a player, and it's up to the club that wants them to decide whether or not they're willing to pay that price. And so I don't know, it's just really weird because you have $1 billion release clause for Messi or something, that's should be just as illegal as Pjanic being 60 million, but I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I think it's more kind of what you brought up. Maybe it's a balancing of the books type of thing for financial fair play, where they're saying they're accepting this massive fee, and then the other club is agreeing and being okay, we'll say that it's this much, but we'll really only give you this much. So, who really knows what's going on, but it definitely doesn't look good. But I'm kind of with Chad. I'm I just really, I don't know, how can you, I don't really know that it's going to be a huge punishment. I don't think it'll be the Serie A scandal that we had 15, 20 years ago when they were relegated. I don't think it's going to obviously be that big of a punishment, but I guess we have to kind of wait and hear what exactly is being talked about. Because if it's just like inflating the value of someone, like we can all be like, you know, I don't know, like the worth is what someone will pay them. So whoever pays that definitely thinks that they're worth it. So there might be something that we're missing, but I'm interested to see what comes next of this. Because it's the big ones, I guess, are what? Inter, Juve, and Chad was saying Napoli, right?
Yeah.
Who've all done really well the last 5 years, I guess.
And I think it's going to be interesting, too, to kind of keep an eye on the transfer market in general over the next couple of years as clubs and leagues recover from COVID and try to figure out what their budgets look like and try to balance the books from these overinflated contracts that they signed pre-COVID and how do they justify in post-COVID and what players are going to move and how much are they going to go for. I think there's going to be a lot of potentially shady moves happening in the next couple of years that all these financial fair play and FIFA and local governments are going to have to keep an eye on. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I didn't even take that part into consideration yet. Like maybe Juventus is just, or a few of these Italian clubs are just the first ones to kind of, peel back the lid and be exposed, but certainly wouldn't be surprised if there were other clubs doing the same things that didn't have like the backing of billionaires who, throw money off the back of their yachts for fun, but...
Or even just like, the big EPL contract with NBC again, Chad, was like how much? What billion was it that they agreed to rights to? So like EPL there was a really good article in the New York Times about like the EPL is getting paid. So they don't really have to like sell their players to Madrid and to Barca and to Juve anymore. They are like getting so much money just from TV rights alone that it's kind of now going to maybe hurt these other clubs that, like Blaine said, are still kind of suffering from COVID. I'm not saying, EPL hasn't, but much less so with these big TV deals than, Italy, for example.
Yeah, and all the other European leagues aren't getting those same TV deals, right? Because Premier League is in the Americas is essentially like the NBA of soccer. And you're not going to get Premier League rights money for Serie A or, any other league in Europe. So all these other leagues are going to struggle to compete. When you consider things like Champions League and things like that, Premier League's got a leg up when it comes to that foreign investment.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that's because, and now we're kind of going off script, this isn't something we planned on talking about, but do you think that's because of the language? Like obviously, I mean, like the Irish Premiership will never be a league that people care about, or even really the Scottish Premier League, but like with a combination, like it's a top 5 league or a top 4 league in Europe, and they speak English. Like the coaches have to speak English in the press conferences, so like it's easier to follow versus like Spanish, French, German. Do you think that plays a part?
I think that's part of it, but I think the big thing is that we've all known that the Premier League is the prestige league, right? When I first got into soccer, the first thing I heard about, even before I was in soccer, was the Premier League, right? Manchester United and Arsenal and Chelsea and all these clubs that like have stature because there's a history there. All the good players want to play in the Premier League at least once in their career, right? Like that's the pinnacle. That's the top.
Say that again.
And so
wait, hold back. Say that again, and we're gonna clip this.
It's the pinnacle of soccer is to play in a World Cup for your country. All the best players want to play in the Premier League at least once in their career.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And so if that is the best of the best, then that is, right? That is the NBA equivalent of soccer, right? You have so many other basketball clubs and leagues all over the world, but none of them can compete with the NBA. And so, because there's that stature there's that clout of the Premier League. I don't think there's any other league in the world that can demand the rights that the Premier League can demand, because nobody else is watching as many games from any other league than the Premier League.
No lie detected.
Yeah,
no lie detected.
I think it takes a stronger soccer fan to watch some of the other leagues, and then once you start watching those leagues, you realize how interesting all those other leagues are. I personally prefer watching Serie A to Premier League myself, but that's just because my favorite club is in Italy. And because of that, I follow it a lot more, right? And I love the storylines, and I love the kind of chaos the Serie A brings. It's kind of down and dirty, right? It's not this big, shiny league that the Premier League is. And so I like that. I like those storylines. But I think you have to be a soccer fan to follow some of these quote-unquote lower leagues to really find those storylines. And not everybody that's a casual soccer fan is going to follow those leagues.
Yeah. Like, they might follow one or two clubs out of the, quote, littler leagues.
Yeah, your casual soccer fan is going to follow any European club that's in Champions League, and they're going to watch Champions League games. But they're not going to watch league games.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not going to happen.
I also think it's a timing thing, too, because in the past, all the best teams usually were, like, Italian. And then, I guess, Spanish, but it's kind of in the last maybe 20 plus years that England has really started to kind of churn out these huge teams. I remember Arsenal. I think it was Arsenal was the first team to beat an Italian team at home, and this was like Arsene Wenger era. I mean, I got to double check that fact. We should do that, but it's. I mean, Italy kind of dominated this for a long time, and I think that it started to switch when maybe that Calciopoli scandal started to come out, and I don't know, maybe some of the money started to go the other way, but. I mean, that's a good point that Chad brings up because, like, right now, it is at least for the last 20 years, it's the place to play. I think, barring weather, people would come here, or come to England even quicker because, if the weather was better. There's a lot of people, like, even Ibro's been on record being like, before he came to Manchester, they're like, will you come to England? He's like, no. Like, why? Well, what was the weather yesterday? It was raining. What was the weather today? It was raining. What's it going to be tomorrow? Right? So I think that even you watch these like backstage stuff from like the South Americans that aren't used to snow, and it's like, man, I can't stand these winter games, man. So maybe, barring some weather, we'd get even higher profile players here sooner or more often.
Yeah. Well, you have to think about what the TV landscape was 20 years ago, right? This day and age, we're blessed to be able to have every league at our fingertips. Anytime we want to watch it live or replay, right? Thanks to the internet.
Yeah.
But 20 years ago, if we were going to get a foreign soccer game broadcast in the United States, it was going to be the Premier League or nothing. That's just the way it was going to be. We didn't have the ability to watch.
Never happening.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Spain came next, I think. I remember Spain being on, or La Liga being on ESPN. And this was like, right before, this was like, I remember watching on the Watch ESPN app in like 07, 08 on, like the Barca games. But that was, they didn't really put much effort into that either. So, yeah, it's definitely, England's the place that has all the money right now. England's the place that has these huge and I think it's marketing too. Maybe it's not the greatest place in the world to play, or maybe the superstars aren't there, which they are, but I think that they've done a great job marketing. Like, this is the place to be. This is the place to play. This is where all the stars come. So yeah.
Yeah. To both of what you said, I think you're right. It probably is, because if you look at like the last Champions League final was two British teams. The last three Champions League finals there's been four British teams: Liverpool, Tottenham, Man City, Chelsea. And then in the lower competition, you've also had Arsenal in Europa League finals against Chelsea. You've had Manchester United. You've had, in the last 5 seasons, Liverpool, and I want to say Chelsea again, maybe. So I'm like, if you're looking at like, if you did like a power rankings of like the 10 best clubs and like, let's just say worldwide, I think it's safe to say that from the Premier League, you would probably get at least half of those would be English clubs comfortably. Yeah. Compared to their, and then the drop off from like the 6th best club in the Premier League team to the, like 15th, like halfway down the second half of the table, is like not as big as it would be, say, in Germany, where it's like once you get out of like the guys that actually compete for like the Champions League and Europa League spots, like these guys are all just fighting over morsels, like they're like the points that they're getting are kind of laughable in comparison to, like, I don't know, like for example, like Southampton historically went from like being a club that like was always in relegation, and now they're like a mid-table team consistently, unless right now they're not doing great, so that's a bad example. But like teams like Everton, I mean, I guess this year's kind of a weird year. It's been a weird 2 years, but
West Ham this year. West Ham's up there this year. Even Aston Villa the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And we talked about like, you know, Newcastle. We didn't know that they were like top 15 in the world as far as like worth or value. Like Newcastle.
Yeah.
Of all teams, like top 15, not just in England, but like in the world. So it's really interesting. But I do think that now is like the place where everyone like that's a good point. Like everybody wants to play here, here in England. That's like the place that everybody wants to go. Where the best people go right now.
Cool. Well, I think that
unless you want to play for PSG.
Yeah, unless you want stupid money. Oh, you're talking about Messi. Got you.
There you go.
Oh,
by the way, real quick,
no
not to derail it too much, but if we're talking about not inflated transfers or like maybe doing transfers wrong, not to say that they're inflating them, but like I would feel like Dortmund's got to be on that list somewhere because they keep. I mean, or they're just really smart, right? They keep buying low and selling extremely high. They're going to do it again this year with Erling Haaland. Like again, like it's I need to know like the details of this Juventus thing because like you can place a worth or a value of someone easily. It's what those other people will pay that actually like kind of confirms that value. So I'd really be interested in like the true details of what the financial police are coming at these clubs and saying.
Yeah, I mean,
not to backtrack.
I mean, objectively, what Dortmund does, like, I don't think many people would argue that, like, when they sell Erling Haaland, like, if they would have sold Erling Haaland to Chelsea last summer for 150, that would have still looked like a bargain. I think most people would have said that's a bargain, right?
Yeah, well, in today's money, yeah.
Ever since Neymar did the blockbuster to PSG, like, all bets were off for players that actually bring real value or marketing appeal, for example. Like, you know what I mean? But Pjanic for 66.
Yeah, I don't think you look at Dortmund's history and you really get your eyebrows raised at too many of their transfers. A lot of them really make sense, and a lot of those players have gone on to do great things. But you look at Pjanic and you're kind of like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Right, no, and that's not the problem was like these, like I think Chad, you brought one up where it was like this dude played one time for Juventus the very last game of the season, and then he was sold for 22 million. Like that's where the question marks are. I understand. I guess Dortmund really knows how to do good business, and I really hope that Haaland goes to Arsenal. And on that note, just FYI, Arsenal was the first team to beat an Italian team, and it was in 2008.
Yeah, I looked it up too.
Arsene Wenger.
Yep, I can corroborate. I also looked it up. I thought you were going to say Martin Odegaard's going to get Erling Haaland to go to Arsenal because he's his national team captain. Which I would.
I mean, listen, that's what the conspiracy theorist Arsenal fans are saying on Twitter.
Okay. Wow. I said the craziest thing I could think of, and it's on Twitter. Stranger things have happened, you know? They're like, we want to make it into the next World Cup. All of the Norwegians go play for Arsenal. Yeah, it becomes, like what Wolverhampton Wanderers were for Portuguese.
Right.
Norway FC. All right, guys, well, let's keep the conversation moving. We briefly started to touch on Paris Saint-Germain. And, they had they won this morning, or in their last time out, but they had an interesting match against Manchester City in the Champions League, which got a lot of people on the news, sports media, Twitter, what have you, speculating on whether or not, we've talked a lot about whether or not Mauricio Pochettino is the man for the job, but is the team really set up for success? Like when they did the blockbuster, when Messi came through and Neymar and Mbappe stayed, everyone was saying this is the best front three that the world will ever see. And now we're starting.
I think we said that.
I agree. I think that was a unanimous sentiment throughout the footballing world. And now I think people are starting to have doubts on whether or not these three can actually play together. Granted, they still may or may not have had a full training session together. That's still... Like, it's late November, and we still don't know if they've actually trained a full starting 11 together with their, best talent. But, Neymar just got injured this morning also, so it's like that still hadn't happened, we are still like probably 6 weeks out. We probably won't see the best of them until next year anyway. So I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on, like, do you think Punch can get the best out of this team? Is this top three or front three actually built for success, or is it too many passengers on a team that is struggling to keep goals from going in the net? Any opinions, thoughts? I can tell you what I think.
Brooks, I'll let you go first since you have a deeper eye on PSG, but I've got an opinion.
Okay, I mean, I think we've talked about this a lot. Like, I don't think Pochettino's the man. First of all, I don't think he's the one to bring him home. The second thing is, I think that, I mean, if you watch a PSG game, it's not that they're not getting chances to score. It's just that, when the chances come, maybe they're, I don't know, it's almost like incredible saves by the goalkeeper, or the final third, it might not be the best finishing, because the chances are like consistently coming. I just feel like their defense, ironically, is kind of letting them down lately. Like, almost anyone can squeak out a 1-0 win. I feel like if PSG score a 1 goal first, that's not going to be enough, because I know that their defense will let in something. So I don't know necessarily that I don't think it's the front three's fault. I think that they're doing a great job. They're still learning how to play together. They don't look terrible. Messi doesn't look amazing.
But he's looking better.
He did today.
But he's looking better.
Yeah, he is consistent. Like, each week he is getting better and looking better and looking better. Yeah, so, I mean, Mbappe doesn't ever look bad, in my opinion. Like, that dude is always firing.
Facts.
Neymar hasn't looked great, to be honest. If I were to say that there's one of those top three, of the front three, that haven't looked good, it's been Neymar. He's, in my opinion, kind of the one that's kind of been missing the open chances more than anyone, losing the ball, just not playing up to, like, the standards that we know Neymar can. Maybe he gets hurt all the time. Maybe he gets hit too much. He's always being battered in that, midfield area. So that's just kind of an opinion that I have. I think that Zidane needs to come in to take them there, and I think that they will continue to get better, but I think that defense kind of needs to be shored up a bit. But also, like, choose your number one goalkeeper. It's like every other week it's either Keylor Navas, or it's like, dude, just choose one and stick with it.
Be brave.
I don't know.
You got to be brave.
Yeah, and that's why I think the coach is just not the man right now. Like, choose someone, stick with him, and, like, feelings will get hurt, but they need to play with that confidence that they are the number one, or, I don't know. That's my opinion. It's a jumble of words for my opinion.
Sound pretty good to me.
I think that PSG has a problem that a lot of super clubs run into, that you have a team of individuals instead of individuals coming together to form a team. I think that, just about any one of those players on their own is world class. Any club in Europe or in the world would love to have them on their team. But when you get all of them together, they don't know how to play together. They don't know how to play as a team. Now, I don't watch a lot of PSG. I catch the highlights now and then. But they're not a club that's normally on my radar. So I haven't seen a ton of games and footage. But from what I can sense, what I've gathered so far is that there's not a lot of connection there. There's not a lot of flowing football. I think there's a really big disconnect between the midfield and the front three, and trying to just play. They're trying too hard to get the ball to them, and there's not a lot of good flowing team football being played there, which is going to cause you to suffer. And if you can't get a group of superstar individuals together to play as a team, stamp down some of those egos and get them to play together for one common purpose, I think you're always going to struggle, no matter how many good players you have on that team.
I blame the coach. I blame the coach.
Right. That's a really good point, Chad. Because, when you look at the midfield, you look at today's game, for example, somebody finally ran the midfield, and that somebody was Messi. 3 assists. Could have had a lot more, but they just missed some open chances. But also, you look at Man City, who does have a great midfield and can also play down the wings. It's like PSG tried to do that with Hakimi, but they don't really widen it out enough either. It's like they kind of narrow that down and just really try to play down the line a little bit. And I just feel like, I'm with Blaine. I just think it's the coach. He doesn't know how to handle not only superstars, but he doesn't know how to handle their talents. Like, yo, they're way better than any Tottenham player you've had or any Southampton player that you've had. Like, you really need to let them start firing, because it just feels like they're just being held back by something. And I think that's the coach. I mean, that's just my thought. But
I think Man City was a good example, right? Man City knows how to play as a team and how to get wins. I mean, you think about some of the big games that Juventus played when Ronaldo was there, right? Juventus almost looked better when Ronaldo was off the pitch than when he was on the pitch, because he wasn't the center of attention, and they weren't trying to just throw crosses in, trying to get balls to Ronaldo. They're trying to play as a team, right? So I think that when you do have these big names that just draw all the attention, it kind of sucks the life out of all the other creativity the team could put together.
But I still blame the coach, and here's why I blame the coach, because there are big names. There's arguably 4 or 5 superstars on the team, and only 3 of them command the ball. But if the coach had the wisdom, or let's just say the heart, to say, you know what, like, Messi, you're a superstar, but we're playing a team game. Mbappe, you're a child superstar, but we're playing a team game. And Neymar, when you come back from your injury, we're playing a team game. Like, you're all going to play. If I don't see you backtracking and playing for the team and pressing as a unit, and like the rest of you, like, don't just try to get the ball to them. And like, if that's not what I see, I got a bench deeper than Mariana's Trench, and I'm going to that, and you will not play. And because, like, they're capable of doing it. Like, they're all, like, if they played as a team, they would be capable. And I just feel like the manager hasn't basically put his foot down to say, like you're going to play defense and you're going to play offense. You're going to track back. You're going to work for the team. We can't have 3 passengers. I don't want just crazy balls. Like, use the wings. I mean, they need a left back too. Like, let's be honest. They need a left back. Okay.
They've been needed a left back.
They do. Bad. And then also, like, to what Brooke said, like, just grow a backbone, pick a keeper and keep them. Stop flip-flopping like so when I play FIFA way more than I would like to admit, and I have a deep squad, and the game has a mechanic in it where if you rotate your squad after every game just to keep everyone happy, like, there's a mechanic that like basically it's like the cohesion or like the compatibility that the team plays with, and that stat will go down. So like the passes won't go where they should, even if you get them right, because what they're saying is, like, these players aren't familiar with each other because they don't have enough playing time together. And that's basically, you know, like, what's Kalar going to do? What's Donnarumma going to do? Oh, like, this person's playing here now. Like, there's no I guess there is some consistency, but not enough consistency and enough to direct. Not enough consistency and I can't talk, so I'm not going to say anything else. No consistency, no direction, but for the record, I think that they can still go on to do great things. They squeezed into the group stage, and they got, you know, basically 2 months to figure this out, and I still think they can make good on their project. It's a long road.
With Pochettino?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming, like, this is all predicated on that they get rid of him. Even though Man U already sorted out what they're going to do with their manager, and, you know, the father of pressing German football, whatever the story is. Yeah. So, like, that's figured out, but that still doesn't mean that Pochettino still isn't going to, because his contract's only until the end of the season, then he moves on to, like, a director role or whatever at Man U. So it's like Punch still might be the guy that they want in June. So if I'm PSG, I'm like you said last week, like, money's not a thing. He was probably even willing to settle at this point and just be like, you know what, just pay me through the end of this season and I'll leave, and you can bring in Big Z in January or sooner. The sooner the better. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that. We spoke about Man City a little bit here. We can keep it brief. These are just things that I hear, and I want to know how people feel. People keep saying that Manchester City needs a striker, and week in and week out, I feel like they continue to prove that they are A-okay. What's y'all's take? Okay, that sounded really southern. What's you guys' take on that? Like, I feel like they've proven that they don't really need a striker. I think they're still going to go for Harry Kane in the January window, but I definitely don't think they need a striker. That's my stance. That's my official stance. What do you guys think? Do you guys watch Man City?
I don't think Man City needs anybody, to be honest. Every time Man City buys up another player, I get angry about it because they're just like collecting all the players. It's like that annoying spoiled kid in the playground that collects all the best toys for himself and doesn't share with anybody. That's how I feel about Man City. So I don't think they need anybody else. When you have as much talent as Man City has on that team, playing together as a team, as we talked about earlier, you can do great things even if you have a weakness in one position. Would they be better with a striker? I don't know, but I'm sure they're going to go hunting for one because that's what Man City does. I've been fans of many teams in the past that have struggled to find a good striker and still perform well. And so I don't think you need a striker in order to be successful in any league. It helps, but I don't think it's necessary.
Good point. I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I also think that, because it's tough because they lost to a Chelsea team that has a striker. Granted, if Chelsea can win with Timo Werner up top, then Arsenal can, I don't know, then there's hope for anyone. But I just feel like that might be a reason that they didn't win that game. Or, Kuhn was out for a long time. But also that was also maybe just Pep tinkering too much.
That's what that was. That's what that was. That's all that was.
But you tell me, if he had a Haaland or an Mbappe, would he have started them in the Champions League final?
Okay, let me say that to this. So if he would have had him, he would have started them, and maybe it would have made a difference. But I also think if he would have just played Fernandinho, they also would have probably won. They might have scored. We don't know. They might have won, but I know if he would not have tinkered, they definitely would not have lost in 90 minutes. So
yeah,
a striker won't hurt them.
Hard. Right. Yeah. But because Man City can also grind out a 1-0 win, unlike a PSG. If they score one, it's okay. Well, there's your starting. We got to get something else now. 1-0 is not going to do it for you guys, and I think that City can do that. Better than a PSG can, but I don't know. I just think that I'm with you both. Chad has a good point. It'll make them better, but they don't really need it. But I think that they'll still look for it. I think that if Harry Kane is available, they'll take him. I would much prefer to see Erling Haaland there, because I also think that'll inflate Jack Grealish's numbers. I think that Jack Grealish is there and he's doing a great job, and he's one of the highest fouled, and he's making one of the most amounts of chances created, but it's there's just not really anyone there waiting a lot of the time. Their highest score is still what is it still, Ilkay Gundogan? Is that still their highest score this season?
Probably. He scored today.
Yeah, it's just an interesting thing to see, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
But Chelsea's the same way right now without Lukaku. They've got 15 different scores in 14 games as of up till today.
Yeah, goals coming from everywhere but the top of the field.
From everywhere. Yeah.
Right back, left
and
back.
It's hard to say yep. Reece James mostly is is this the new modern game, or is this just a weird seasonal thing that's happening? What is it really the way that the game is going, that they really don't need a striker, or what is it?
Yeah.
Because they're not the only ones doing it,
Tammy Abraham scored today.
Yeah.
He was the difference for Roma, center forward. It might just be the symptom of a super club that just has quality, literally quality in every position.
Everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to talk. This is the last thing I'm going to say about Chelsea today. Tony Rudiger ran the ball all the way up the field, took a shot from outside the box, beat the keeper, and it bounced off the crossbar. He's a center back.
Yeah, but then he skied the game-winning shot over the net. Still probably traveling.
He's got center back finishing for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's true, too. He missed it. It was right there on a platter for him. And they tied Man U. Oh, it still hurts. It still hurts. Okay, enough of that. Okay, well, final words on the striker argument. I think any other parting words? Great teams with strikers, they help, but ultimately they can win without him. I don't know.
I'm with Chad. They'll still go. I bet that they'll still shop for one.
I think they will too. Okay, I'll say this. I would much rather them go for Erling Haaland than Harry Kane, and it's because I'm a petty person.
Same.
I'm petty. Petty. Okay?
I mean, I wouldn't be happy to see Haaland go to Man City, but if I was running Man City, that would make complete sense.
Yeah, totally. Young, incredible. He came in and like 63 seconds later, he made it to the score sheet. There's an article that said Erling Haaland will make it to Champions League quicker than Dortmund will. And that sucks, but it's true.
That's hilarious.
He's gone after this season.
His dad played for City too, so that's another opportunity. They got, I bet they'll. Let's make a prediction. Where will Erling Haaland be August 2022? Chad Mariotti.
Roman Abramovich is watching this right now saying he's going to watch me bring him to Chelsea.
I say Chelsea.
Watch that be the first big signing that like Newcastle brings in with all that new oil money they got.
Listen, man, we're willing to pay you $1 million a week.
Right.
Come down to the Geordie Shore. I mean, hey, I might do that. I would do it. Would you do it?
We're gonna build a whole team around you. You're the first big signing for this new super club we're gonna build. You're the first piece. It's gonna take us a year or two, but come in early. Let's get it done. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, but they'll be playing in the lower division because they'll be relegated after this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't. Did they lose this week?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Arsenal beat them.
Oh, did they? When was that game? Was that
early yesterday too?
Yeah, too early.
I barely remember that. I think I woke up and saw the end of it. I don't remember now.
It was a 7 a.m. or 7:30 here.
Who scored?
So it was like 5 for you. Bukayo Saka scored. And then Martinelli came in with his second touch. You got to look that one up. It was amazing.
All right, I gotta watch those highlights. And I must have. Okay. Well, guys, let's
Bukayo Saka, the future.
Yeah.
My number 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's it? BS7. BS7.
Chili pepper. What are they? Yeah.
Young boy playing for England too. There's a lot of good players for England right now, though. They also said England has the most expensive squad in international football, but it's because they're all inflated because they're British and they play in the EPL. So. But
listen, they are good and they are very young, and they could even. It's almost like we talk about this. I'm not going to go there, but we talk about France a lot. How they are just stacked and they can. There's a ton of players that aren't even making the national team. That's like what a young England team is looking like right now.
Yeah.
Conor Gallagher got his first call up. That dude is still crushing it with Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Chelsea's looking crazy that they didn't keep him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few guys who look crazy. There's another. You guys know who Tyreek Lamptey is? He plays for Brighton Hove Albion.
Yeah, he got interviewed yesterday after the game.
When we let him go, Frank Lampard gave him a run out, and I was like, okay, this kid's kind of short, but he's good. Then the next week, they're like, oh yeah, he signed a permanent deal for $10 million to go to Brighton Hove. I was like, why do we let him go? That kid's he's a baller. He'll be a superstar too, but not all of them can play for England because you only need 2 left backs at best. And we got 3 in each. We have 3 guys in each position that could start on any team.
Let's not forget about my boy Tammy Abraham.
Seriously, where we going there?
Forget about Tammy, bro. I'll never forget. That's everybody's boy. And if it were up to me, man, he would be the number 9, and we just Harry Kane, get him out the team. Get him out the team. I hate Harry Kane. I hate him. I'm editing that. I'm gonna edit that out of the video.
Tammy Abraham, though, he does put more energy into a game than Harry Kane does.
I tell you
Harry
what,
Kane looks hurt.
When I found out Roma signed Tammy Abraham, I knew it was a good signing. I knew he was going to inject so much life and so much passion into the club. And it has been my feel-good story of the season to watch Tammy Abraham play for Roma.
Yeah.
There's nothing
and he loves the club.
On their face better. He loves the club.
He's singing with the fans when they put on the I don't even know what the name of the song is called because it's in Italian, but it's amazing. He's singing with it. He's bumping to it. I love seeing that.
It's already a fan favorite. Yeah.
He said it too though. He was like, "Yo, and the first time I stepped out here, I was like, this is my club."
Bro, but like
he really loved it.
I feel like it would be so easy to play for Roma, though. It's like,
what does that mean?
Like it's a great city, great fan base.
Yeah.
And like I say this in the nicest way, like the expectations aren't so daunting that you feel like stressed out and pressure, so like you can play and have fun and enjoy the sport. So like that's a compliment. Like it would be it's an admirable like, and I hate to say it, but like, because he had a choice. Do I want to go to Arsenal or do I want to go to Roma? And for me, that's a no-brainer. Like, so it would be so much easier to go and play for Roma and like rebuild up your not saying he had a bad profile at Chelsea, but just rebuild up your profile, I guess, for like the England team or whatever, and like also help Roma, in their project. Okay, struck a chord.
Blaine and I were talking yesterday about this with Jose Mourinho, right? Like, when it was announced that Mourinho was coming to Roma, like, I had mixed feelings for sure, and I was basically just saying, like, let the chaos begin. Like, I'm ready. Like, if nothing else, he's going to bring headlines to Roma, But watching Mourinho this season at Roma has been something special. Like, I think he's attached to this club better than he has at a few of his most recent clubs, and I think part of it's because of the fan base. But you watch his post-game interviews and you watch like what he posts on Instagram, and he seems happy. I watch a lot of like the training videos that AS Roma puts out on YouTube, and he's just like strutting down the training pitch in his like little Roma hoodie, giving players like high fives and laughing, and like there's such a good vibe at the club right now. And it starts with Mourinho and Abraham, and it filters on down everywhere else, and it's producing results, and I'm happy about it.
Giving the kid
he's just so
shoes.
happy he's comfortable in those. Yeah, he's in those 850s or whatever New Balances are that are mad comfy. That's why he's so happy. But also, I remember you telling me that. Let the madness begin. Whatever he's bringing. Like, we just gotta kind of get on board and hope for the best. And it's been really amazing. You're right. He looks happy, and his Instagram stories, like, he looks like a proud father. Of everything.
That's perfect.
Like, those are his kids. He's buying them gifts. He's like, this is, like putting the pictures of the snow up and like on the bus. Like, he just seems like a proud father right now. And I'm like, dang, this is a Mourinho I can get down with. I've never seen this side of him before.
And Blaine put it right. Like, this is one of the clubs in recent memory that Mourinho's been at where it's not an immediate expectation to win a trophy, to win the league, right? Like, Roma's expectations right now, we'd be happy to be in Europa League. We're still thinking Champions League might be. Sure, I would love Champions League, but I think their expectations is even Champions League is a year or two away, and so the pressure on Mourinho to perform is a lot less at Roma than it has been at some of his more recent clubs, and he's performing because of it.
Yeah, and I will say, to Blaine's point too, like, you and I have been quite often, or quite a few times to that stadium to watch them play. Blaine, have you been to? I don't know if you've been to.
Been to Rome, never to the Stadio Olimpico, or however you say it.
And of all the games that I've been to and like stadiums that I've visited and stuff, like, I've still tell Chad, like, this, while they don't pack the stadium out every night, like, it's definitely not a full house every night. That supporter section is the craziest place I've ever found myself in, asking, like, why did I even get on the plane? I remember, like, praying. I was like, I will not make it out of here alive. I'm like texting Grace. Like, this is the craziest experience. But it's the most amazing place that I've ever seen a soccer game at. No question.
Yeah.
And the fans are unreal. So I know that Tammy Abraham was just kind of loving that, feeding off of it.
It's a beautiful environment. Then we got first-hand eyewitnesses, and the results are self-evident. So one time for AS Roma, shout out to the coach, shout out to the fans, shout out to the boy that wears the number 9, and the rest of the squad, obviously. But we keep our eye on that TA9. Okay, last thing before we go. We're about 45 minutes in, so we'll see how quick we can get through this. Chad and myself, we are out here in Salt Lake City, Utah. The local football / soccer team, Real Salt Lake, is now.
This is what I'm here to talk about. Wait a minute. For sure.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Let's go. Yeah. Yo, they won 2 of their playoffs.
Oh my God.
2 of them. They're going to the Western Conference playoff final to play against the Portland Timbers. Shout out to
the Real Salt Lake hype train. Get on it now. Get on it early. Let's do
it. Yeah, let's go. But
I just can't believe what I'm seeing. It's like
we done boy. Listen,
it's so funny.
We love our local team, and we're thrilled that they made it to where they made it. Very, very difficult circumstances. They are the lowest seeded team in the tournament, and they have won their first 2 games, and they're going to be playing, I think, the number 4 seed next weekend. And Brooks, we wanted to just ask you as a non-Major League Soccer participant, do you find Major League Soccer, okay, I guess it's probably self-evident, you probably find it boring, but just some context. The way MLS works is they play their regular season, and whoever has the most points, 0 point, 1.3 point, traditional, format is all the other like top leagues in the world. They win what's called the Supporter Shield. And after the Supporter Shield, I think 14. So that we're like, it's like the NBA. Like we got the Western Conference, Eastern Conference. 7 teams from each go into like a playoff. And it's like the MLS Audi. I think it's like the MLS Audi Cup. Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, or something along those lines. And it's just a knockout tournament, right? And me personally, as a Major League Soccer fan, I used to be a season ticket holder a few years ago, and for several years up until then.
Both of you, right?
Yeah.
But it only gets interesting. I feel like it only gets interesting in the playoffs. And I don't know. I guess I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just excited. All I'm saying is I'm excited. Our team's in the playoffs. I don't even know if there's a question in there. If there was, it was probably lost. But I have nothing else.
Brooks, your thoughts on Major League Soccer?
That's a great question, Chad.
I mean, there's a lot that I don't like about it. It's just like so Americanized. First of all, like down to like everyone has to have an Adidas jersey. There's no money left for people to like come in and like pay a club more money for anything else. I guess there's a reason to that, but I mean, and then like the playoff thing, like yeah, Blaine said it. Like there's a reason that most Americans are like, I don't really watch baseball until August, or I don't really watch basketball till They're waiting until like it gets exciting, and that's one of, to me, the most exciting things about European or world football, aside from like MLS, is that you can't Sixers a team. You can't intentionally tank because you're getting relegated. It's a fight till the death. It's like F1. Every single race matters. That's what I love about it. There is no playoff. Like at the end of the season, who did the best? Like I just like that every game means something to me, and I don't know, like. I haven't given MLS a chance. Like Grace's sister and her sister's boyfriend, like pretty good big fans. And so like I stopped on a game once and she's like, what is this? I'm like, it's MLS. She's like, it looks like high school. Like just from like this pitch to the fans.
It's the production value also.
Yeah.
I wonder. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like obviously they have good players and a lot of them get sold to Europe, which is cool for like, but I know that it doesn't want to be a farm league, but I don't know. I watched Beckham. I did go to a game and I saw Beckham and I saw Thierry Henry play, and that was cool. But they were, I don't know. It's just kind of not like my speed, I guess.
Okay.
I think here's the hard thing about Major League Soccer, is that Major League Soccer has to. There's no other way for them to be successful. They have to walk a line between being American soccer and competing with the world soccer landscape, right? They want to be uniquely American to attract American fans, but at the same time, they want to produce the quality that the leagues in Europe have to produce. And so you've seen throughout the history of Major League Soccer, them walking this line and going too far one way and too far the other way, right?
The run-ups for the,
That's over, Brooks.
When Major League Soccer started, you had clubs that were named uniquely in American names, right? Like the Tampa Bay Clash and the New England Revolution and the Los Angeles Galaxy, right? Like they were American names. And now you look at clubs coming up in MLS, and there's even clubs changing their names to like, Montreal's like CF Montreal now, and like trying to be very European to try to attract that European eye, right? And so they've always had the struggle between being too American and too European and trying to find that balance. But the counterpoint to your argument, Brooks, is that you look at a club like Real Salt Lake, right? They finished in the Supporter Shield race 13th. Very much a mid-table team, right?
Yeah, and didn't score in their first game.
Well, here's the thing. If I was a Real Salt Lake supporter, watching a mid-table team all season long can get kind of boring. You forget that when we watch European leagues, almost all of our teams that we support and cheer for are teams that are competing for the top of the league, competing for Champions League, right? None of us are Southampton
I'm an
fans.
Arsenal fan, so no.
But if you are a fan of a European team that's constantly mid-table, what are you getting excited for week after week other than, we're going to finish somewhere mid-table again, right? Real Salt Lake finished 13th in the league this year. But because of that playoff system, they're the number one story in MLS right now. And there's more excitement around that team right now at the end of the season than there has been all season long. And I think that, the playoff system is unique to America and it's weird. And it throws kind of this weird ending to what would normally be a normal season. But it gives these mid-table teams a breath of life and something to fight for and something to get excited about that they normally would have nothing to be excited for.
Also, more money.
That's a really good point.
More money also.
Yeah, more money.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, like in Europe, it's like you fight for, you're always trying to fight to get those top spots, and you have your incentive is money. But in your case of like a Real Salt Lake fan, I guess I can see that it's like we have something else to look forward to, which we never thought was going to happen a month ago.
We're 13th place, and we are 2 games away. 2 games away from winning the biggest cup in MLS.
The first game, though, correct me if I'm wrong, the first game we didn't score a goal, right?
No shots.
Which was amazing. I read that.
Brooks, what you're saying, there were no shots. Not shots on target. Wins,
just
no shots.
No shots. Not all wins are pretty, all right? Sometimes you got to grind them out. Sometimes you just
that's incredible that they've gone that far with that.
They played a lot better today, by the way, which they won their game today as well.
In fantastic.
For you two, I'm very excited. I'm very, very happy. I've gone to a couple of NYCFC games. Weird AF because you're sitting there at a baseball diamond. I've gone to see Yankees play a number of times. And
don't judge Major League Soccer on the Yankee Stadium experience.
The infrastructure.
It was interesting, but I am happy that it is, getting big. Because there are teams that aren't like NYCFC that actually have, Salt Lake is one of them that has a beautiful stadium. I've been to that stadium with you guys.
Atlanta. There's a lot of teams that actually build.
Atlanta has a massive fan base.
Yeah.
Chad sent me an article that was like, there's more MLS fans than fans of like a specific like American football team or something. Like, so they're showing up.
They show up in ATO.
Yeah, there's certain cities that get the support big time. And there's other cities that, for as much as I love Real Salt Lake, we have a hard time filling a 20,000 seat stadium, right?
Yeah. No, for me, it's just hard to like, the biggest thing is like just watching it for 90 minutes and staying intrigued and engaged for 90 minutes with that, I guess the level of most of the soccer that I stop on when I see it. I'm like, let me give this a shot. And a couple minutes later, I'm like, okay, I'm sure there's like an old Oprah episode on or something that I can like, give me a little bit more.
Well, and I think it goes back a little bit to what we were talking about earlier with the Premier League being that pinnacle, right? And all these other leagues in Europe oftentimes aren't as entertaining as Premier League, right? I'd rather watch a mid-table Premier League game than a mid-table La Liga game, right? And MLS is a lot the same way. And I think in order to get invested in Major League Soccer, you have to get invested in a team and get invested in the storylines. We could do a whole episode of this show just on what happened to Real Salt Lake the past 2 years. Like, it's a roller coaster. It is a soap opera for the ages. but nobody knows about it because nobody watches MLS, right? So I think once you get invested in a club and in a league itself, you get invested in those storylines and you have a reason to watch week after week.
For the record, I'm a big Oprah fan. The reason that Oprah came to my mind was because this amazing quote, which you all can't see, but you'll see it when you edit this.
Okay.
It's on Grace's desk. Let me just read it. Nobody but you is responsible for your life. It doesn't matter what your mama did. It doesn't matter what your daddy didn't do. You're responsible for your life. You're responsible for the energy that you create for yourself. You're responsible for the energy that you bring to others. That's some powerful stuff.
That's Oprah.
See,
It's Oprah.
Shout out to Oprah, man. We love you.
Oprah.
come on the show anytime.
We can't wait to be on your show.
Cannot wait. Yo. Well, boys, I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up. We're coming up on an hour. Chad, thank you so much.
My
for
pleasure.
coming on. You know,
I will say my second appearance will only be when we do an on-location episode at Stadio Olimpico at Rome.
oh boy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say RSL. I said, we could get that next week.
I didn't know where he was going. We're going to Italy with the next appearance. Because I was gonna say we need you for a follow up for Major League Soccer and like a deep dive / introduction, which may be interesting actually. Because I mean, there's some nuance, but we'll squash the details out. I'll try to promise you guys we'll get Chad on for a second episode, and maybe the third one will be at the Estadio Olimpico. But guys,
all right, maybe we can do that.
Thank you so much for rocking with us. It's been a pleasure, Chad, having you with us again. Thank you so much. And that's the show, right? That's all we got for today. So peace.
Peace.
Okay. I'm at 57 minutes.